am an academic and career advisor here at Pacific. Today, our Thriving Thursday is about paying for grad school. I am joined by some of my peers, Heidi, Leah, and Jama from Financial Aid. But yeah, feel free to ask any questions throughout the presentation by unmuting yourself or putting a comment in the chat. A little bit about me. I'm a Pacific alum. This is actually going to be it's my 10-year reunion. It's going to be happening this year. From Albany, Oregon. So local kid, born and raised here in Oregon. Ran cross country and track here, environmental bio major. So pretty involved. Came to Pacific knowing almost nothing about higher ed. I'm a first generation student. I'm actually the first person in my entire family to have a college degree. And the only one right now, at least with a master's degree. Grew up speaking Spanish as my first language. So, you know, typical first generation low income story. But yeah, got pretty involved here at Pacific with cross country, track, student senate. I'm an original member of ALAS. Afterwards, I went to AmeriCorps, where I got to help low-income students get to college for 2 years in two different cities. Got my master's at Columbia in New York, and then came back to Pacific, worked in admissions for 4 years, and now this is my third year in advising. So pretty widespread experience. I definitely credit a lot of my experience with knowing about financial aid from my time in AmeriCorps and in admissions. And I'm still able to use that tool from time to time with when helping students. But yeah, I like to read, run, watch TV, visit parks. Yep. And and last year I got married and we adopted two kittens that you can see on the screen. Their names are Salem and Gigi. They are little cuties, little kids that love us but also give us trouble. Right. Now getting down to the topic at hand, paying for grad school. There are some similarities compared to undergrad, but there are also some key differences that I want to address here. Um, First off, let's address the elephant in the room. FAFSA, it has changed, and that is okay. We are in this together. We're navigating this. Um, but One key difference between undergrad and grad is that the layout is different. You're going to be asked for some similar info, but also odds are you're going to be able to file independently of your parents. So you don't need to request, odds are you will not need to ask for their tax information, which will expedite the process a little bit, make it a little shorter. There are some scholarships, they're a little more department specific with based on what you want to study. And there are loans and typically larger loans compared to undergrad. There is work study and again, higher odds are you would be able to work a higher amount to get more work study funds. Some key differences are there are no grants in grad school, which is really unfortunate. So there's no Pell Grant, there's no state grant. There are different opportunities to get assistance. So they're either called assistantships or internships, where odds are you're probably working for a department in the university or a partner of the university where you can maybe get some experience, but also get some money to either reduce your bill or pay part of it. Um, and then in grad school, the cost is per credit, a lot more compared to undergrad. So, and some schools will advertise it's like, you know, $1,500 per credit or $500 per credit. It depends on what their what their what their going rate is, and so you'll definitely want to take that into account. And then also, how many credits is your program? Doctoral program is a lot more credits than a master's, and so you definitely want to see how much your education is going to cost. Yep. Um, some other things to consider in grad school compared to undergrad, housing. Not every grad program offers housing. There are a few that do, and you want to see, okay, where are you gonna be living? Are you gonna try to get a spot on campus? Are you gonna try to live off campus? Do you have a spouse? Do you have a family? All those things go into account when you're considering housing for grad school. Internet, if you're on campus, you'll be on the Wi-Fi most likely, but if not, you're gonna have to pay that Wi-Fi bill each month to to access the internet. Books also, or is there a way to maybe get cheaper books? I know in grad school the books are a lot more specialized and odd it's a lot odds are you could probably meet the author of the books depending on which program you do and being able to see can you get them used? Could you borrow them from a library? That is gonna really be really important when looking at your reading materials for grad school. Food, if the grad program, you can see if grad school students get access to cafeteria the same way as undergrad. Could you get a meal plan? Are you going to have access to a kitchen or are you going to have to make meals at home or eat out? What's that going to look like for you? Eating is important. Do not forget to do that. Transportation, this is a little more, it's going to vary based on where the school is. If it's urban, odds are you're probably going to go more with public transportation or maybe be able to walk everywhere. If it's a little more rural, you may need to figure out what the public transportation options are if you don't have a car, or if you do have a car, what's the parking situation like? How much will it cost to park? How far away are you going to have to park so that you're not paying an arm and a leg for a pass? And work. Some grad programs are typically better than undergrad in terms of considering work, students that are working. Odds are you're probably going to be in programs where students are where your peers are working for companies in that field, or they're like they have a day job and they're, going to classes in the evenings. You're gonna have to see, do you need to work, and are you able to work? And how is that gonna look with being able to get to and from campus, or if it's a remote grad program, what's that look like for your schedule? And are there abilities for your work to maybe help pay for grad school? It's that's always a good thing to ask to see if they can help you with tuition or if they can be a little more flexible with your schedule so that you can get assignments done and go to class. Types of aid in grad school. So scholarships, there are departmental scholarships, like I said before, versus outside aid. These are given out by different organizations. So Hispanic, I just got the Hispanic Association Scholarship reminder yesterday. Um, and and I applied for that one when I was in grad school. I got waitlisted for it, sadly, but there are other groups that do fund grad school students. There isn't as much grad school scholarship aid as compared to undergrad, but I definitely recommend you go out and look and apply to as many as you're eligible for because you never know. And also the aid is need versus merit based. And so need based is you have a real financial need to get the money, and merit based is based off of what you've accomplished. And so some scholarships will have one or both criteria in order to consider who's going to get the scholarships.
And
Loans, like I said, yeah,
sorry, Rudy, can I jump into
yeah,
like a
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
information? Okay. So one of the things with scholarships when you're applying to grad school is if you are going into a program that has like specific licensing requirements or organizations that you can join after you graduate or while you're in school, they sometimes have scholarships. So with like the speech language pathology program, there is the ASHETS, the Association of Speech Hearing. Oh, I'm blanking on the full name of it, but they have scholarships. So if you are going and looking for something very specific and have a career path, definitely look for those state and just countrywide organizations where you might be able to apply for more directed scholarships towards what your plan is for employment when you graduate.
Yeah, great. Thanks. And yeah, and I'm actually currently in the process of trying to create a database for scholarships just for grad school students. It is still in progress, but I will get it up and going as soon as I can. Loans, like I said before, they are typically bigger than undergrad loans. I definitely recommend looking at you definitely need to read the fine print, especially if you're going to go private loans, just because they have different interest rates and terms for paying them back. And you want to be aware of how much you're going to be borrowing to get your degree and balance that out with if how much you're going to be making. Is it going to be worth the trade-off of that loan? And And then work study. And again, there are options to get government loans like you did for undergrad if you took out government loans for that. Work study, again, you can typically earn more in grad school than you did in undergrad because um, odds are you'll have more time to do work study in grad school. And and it's kind of like it is for undergrad where you apply for a job and hopefully you're interviewing, you get the job, and then you earn money based off the hours that you work. And lastly, the assistantship and internships. There are some programs that offer these to give students some funds to pay for school, and either for money or tuition, depends on how the school does it. And these typically are prevalent in certain fields. So if you are hoping the two that jump out to me are STEM and uh, like coaching. So if you're hoping to get a master's in science, odds are you could find an opportunity where you're either teaching undergrad or you're doing research in the lab, and you can use that assistantship to pay for your school. Or if you are hoping to get into the coaching world, usually it's called an assistantship in that world where you're like an assistant coach and you're helping you're doing conditioning or you're helping the first years get their feet wet in the sport, and you can get funds for your schooling that way. Definitely, these are the kind of questions you want to ask the grad programs you're interested in. How do students pay for this program? Are there hands-on opportunities to get paid, or are there special scholarships that I can apply for to get funds for this? You definitely want to make sure you get all those questions answered as you're applying to make sure that you're able to pay for that program. But yeah, I just wanted to give a basic overview. I didn't want to get too specific because I wanted to see what questions you guys have and if we can help in any way. Here's my contact information at least, and anyone else that's here with me can definitely put their contact info in the comment section to, answer any questions that you might all have. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we're really happy that you're here, and we want to help you hopefully get funds for grad school.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I am interested in the PA grad program at Pacific. Um, they have a requirement of 1,000 hours, so I'm planning on taking a gap year after this, to get those hours. Does that mean I still have to fill FAFSA in this year?
No, if you're not starting the program until the 2025 academic year, then you wouldn't need to do the FAFSA for the current year. You would do the 2025-26 FAFSA.
Okay, and then how does that work also? Because it's not like a